Welcome to Cultural Catalyst, the podcast that shines a light on the creative visionaries working behind the scenes in arts and entertainment. I'm your host, Alison McNeil, CEO and founder of McNeil Creative Enterprises. With over 20 years of experience advocating for equity and sustainable growth in the arts and entertainment, I've seen firsthand the power of the behind-the-scenes creatives. Here on Cultural Catalyst, the creatives behind the curtain take center stage. Let's celebrate the people who make the magic happen. Let's dive in. Hey there. Before we dive into this episode, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the shifts in our arts and cultural landscape since these conversations were first recorded. We've seen the challenges to institutions, including the arts, but we also have seen the resilience of creatives and cultural organizations. If you believe in the power of the arts, now is the time to take action. Support the artists and arts organizations that inspire you. Donate, amplify their work, and stay engaged. Visit Americans for the Arts to stay updated on advocacy efforts happening on Capitol Hill and across the country. Americans for the Arts provides resources and opportunities to get involved at the local, state, and national levels. We'll link their website in the show notes and continue sharing updates on our MCE Instagram. As the legendary Carrie Mae Weems reminds us, art is the one place we all turn to for solace, and we need that now more than ever. Let's show up for the arts, for our communities, and for each other. Now, let's get into this episode. Today, I'm excited to welcome my guest, Sharon Ingram. Sharon Ingram is the executive director of the DC chapter of the Recording Academy and has over 20 years of experience working with creative and entertainment companies. She has contributed to brands like Hidden Beach Recordings and the Clio Awards, building a reputation as a trusted leader in operational efficiency and talent development. Sharon enjoys developing spaces where talent can thrive and create great work while simultaneously maintaining efficient operational processes. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you so much for being here.
So, of course, my first question is, what first inspired you to pursue a career in the creative and entertainment industries?
Well, going back all the way back, it's interesting because I grew up in a sports family. My dad played every sport and then he picked up tennis and then, but the listeners don't know that, my sister played tennis. She was a professional athlete. I was put in every sports camp imaginable, but I also got to do things like dance and, arts. And so, those just were my happy places. I was always drawn to the creative space. In dance, I thrived. I would put myself in talent shows. You put yourself in the shows. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, I'm getting on stage. I'm doing it. So it was just that. And then it was solidified when you and I met when we were in Howard University Children's Theater and then graduated to the repertory, Kelty Italia Repertory Theater Company.
Playmakers.
In our teen years, we spent hours and hours in the theater space, working, dancing, singing, figuring things out. And I was like, okay, these are my people. This is how I like spending my days. It felt fun. It just felt good. And so I just was like, these are the kind of people I like to be around. And I have never been one that goes places that they don't like. So it's just not my personality. I don't have that temperament. So I was like, if I have to be in spaces all day, I'm going to be in these spaces. And so that's how it happened. That's literally, thank God for my parents who just were like, we'll get in there by hook or crook, because that's where I wanted to be.
So you knew that you had a passion for working in these creative spaces and did that as a teen. How did it translate to a formal career, a professional career?
From the Playmakers, I was picked to be in a singing group, right? So I was in a singing group with 4 other young ladies, and we had the same work ethic. We rehearsed after school, we rehearsed on weekends, we rehearsed all summer, and so that was kind of the thing, like late teen years to early 20. The releases never came out, but we had 2 different record deals. We were in the studio. We were traveling and performing, and we were doing a lot of things. And again, with people I loved, we're still friends to this day. We still do a lot of things together, but that was just kind of like, okay. But at that point, I started seeing the behind the scenes work, right? And started understanding that, oh, people built full lives from this work. There are other areas in this whole music performance thing that I could do and not have to be on stage, but just it not be the same type of deal, right? But you're still in the same spaces. And I was like, again, these are my people. I think knew that I was never going corporate.
Because what did corporate mean for you?
Well, I never was putting on a suit. I was never put on a suit every day. I like a cute suit every now and again, but I was never putting on a suit every day. I was never I'm not like, I like storytelling. I like all types of art, but I was never going to be the person that was just crunching numbers. I don't have that gift either. Like my niece has that gift with numbers, and then I don't have that. So again, for me to feel like I could do something that would be meaningful and that I felt inspired by and not didn't like make me sick, I knew that it had to be a space where I could be me and I could celebrate other people who loved to be creative as well.
Wow. It's no small feat to have a record deal and record music, and shout out to Tomboy for the work that y'all did there. I remember that group. It's okay. So you knew. All right. Okay. I know that I'm singing now, but I want to see what this work is about. What was your first job in the music? And was it in the music industry or was it another part of the entertainment industry?
Well, I was a journalism major. I was in School of C at Howard, and then my minor was in fine arts. And I kind of did communications because there were a lot of behind the scenes things that happened there, right? So I interned at WHUR. I interned at WPGC. I interned at BET. I was the intern on Teen Summit. I interned for a lot of shows at BET. So those were the things that happened here in DC. So I was just getting my feet wet, figuring out what I wanted to do and what I could do. And then after college, I moved to New York. And just because I had grown up here, and then I grew up in Maryland, and then I went to Howard in DC, Howard University. So I kind of was like, okay, DC just can't, you have to try something different. So I moved to New York. And so then I went straight to a creative job. I was an assistant editor at a book publisher. It was another beautiful way to work. Like, just, it was very different. It was a major, it was in the Penguin Putnam family. So it was corporate. It wasn't stuffy at all. So it was another place where I could be me. It was just a great training ground, like a different process. Like, book writing is a whole different beast. That process was fascinating to me, interesting to me. I was in awe of the authors, in awe of the editors that helped guide their careers and help them, hone in and fine tune their craft. And then from there, I went to, but again, didn't know that, I knew that wasn't my forever. So then I went to work with two other friends at the Clio Awards, which is the Awards Excellence in Advertising. And that was amazing. That was an amazing experience. Two of the women I work with are two of my closest friends still today. But watching how that sausage is made was just an amazing process. And just watching the judging and watching the thought and the care and the love and global perspectives, like that was a really fun 2 years, right? So I got I really honed my event skills there, working directly with the creatives, even though it was through the award process. It's just a different way you talk to creatives and like work with creatives and get the best out of them. But it's also a skill to be able to bring creatives, hone them in, right? For the things that they don't necessarily want to do, but should do and have to do. So, I feel like I fine-tune my skills with that. It requires a certain type of person. It really does to do that. Just again, and with creatives I had never worked with or things I had never understood, like a process. And it was just in that space, that I just stayed on the creative path and the creative industries and work. So and then I decided to move to LA because, what else was there to do? It was like something that was itchy. And I was like, I was ready to leave New York. I didn't have a job. I mean, when I moved to New York and LA, I didn't have a job. I was like, I'm gone. Chapter is ending here, so I'm moving. And I actually was like, and that was fine. I was still doing some performing. And then I worked for a nonprofit called Society of Singers that worked to help singers in need, which was extremely rewarding. And nothing than like really helped me understand how easily artists can become vulnerable. It can lose everything. And the way that artists are treated unfairly and poorly and compensated unfairly, right? So it really made me hypersensitive to that. The compassion for the artist like grew exponentially during that season. And then that job became open at Hidden Beach. And I moved to Hidden Beach. A friend told me about the job there. And I went to work for Hidden Beach and directly under Steve McKeever for like 6 or 7 years.
Wow. What's memorable about your time there? Since it was like 6 or 7 years, that's a stretch of time.
A lot. I learned a lot about, I feel like one of my biggest strengths is like, I can, grace under fire. Like my biggest thing that I did there, because I never remember what I do, is we produced all of the talent for the unveiling of the MLK Memorial. We were brought in last minute, but it felt like such a huge honor. I got to meet like so many living legends and work with everyone that felt the importance of it. And just being there, watching everything happen firsthand, like it was like, wow, it was cool.
I mean, your career journey, there's so many
Yeah.
as a performer, a singer, and then working on behalf of singers. Hear the passion for making sure that they're cared for, then working at a recording label. Is that what brought you to the Recording Academy?
It's so funny because I moved home and I said it was funny because when I worked at Hidden Beach, the recording cat, we worked across the street from each other. They were 3030 one street, we were 3030 the other street. Actually, a friend of mine from Hidden Beach, he was an intern at Hidden Beach before I started at Hidden Beach, but he would be in the office sometimes. I would see him because then he went to work for the Recording Academy. And then I was home at this point, but the executive director role of the Recording Academy became open and he was interviewing for that. And he took the job. And then probably like 3 or 4 months after he got the job, he reached out to me and he was like, do you know anyone that would be interested in the project manager role? And I was like, me. And he gave all these reasons why he thought I wouldn't take the job. And I was like, and that's every reason why I will take this job. You never know what people are looking for. So we were a remote team before remote became a thing. This was early 2018. So before pandemic, we were already remote. I had been working remote for 4 years before that. So it was like my jam. So I interviewed and I got the job. And then we worked together, fast and furious, like building. He had this vision. He'd been in the academy for a while and he had this vision. And we worked to we built it. Like we built the vision for the DC chapter. And then he moved on to another role and moved back to California. I was like, I'd like this role. And I told everyone.
Yes.
Deserved it. I had done the work. And honestly, I felt like I knew the chapter better than anyone.
And so what does your job at the Recording Academy entail?
So I'm executive director. One of my focuses is recruiting and retaining members of the DC chapter. And I spend a lot of time connecting with local artists and music professionals in our community, ensuring that they know about the services available to them through membership, all of the things that we do. I really just kind of spread the word of the Academy. I spent a lot of time doing that. I also develop and produce the programs for the chapter to provide educational, professional, and research development opportunities, always thinking about how we can get artists paid, then allow industry professionals to engage with others in the local music community and expand their networks and their reach.
What are some misconceptions about your line of work?
Well, the things that we, the staff, determine Grammy winners when it's our Grammy electorate made up of over 13,000 members, music people honoring music people, peer for peers. Our members vote. We do not vote. The staff does not vote.
Everybody hear that? The staff does not vote.
Does not vote for the Grammy Awards. And then also just read, like, as far as in the chapter work, I feel like in the beginning of my time here at the Recording Academy, I was like just a mouthpiece for the Recording Academy regionally, right? I feel like I spend a lot of time demystifying the Academy at the chapter level. People just thought it was this organization that only existed in music towns like LA, Nashville, New York. But I'm like, no, we're here and your people are here. You have the same benefits and the same resources that the music community in LA has. So please, understand that this is an organization you should be a member of, and that you should be taking advantage of all the resources that are provided and all of the community. Sharing community here to me is so important. Let's figure out, if you sit in this region, you guys have to move a little different. You're not in LA. So how do other people get things done? It's a lot of that. It's talking about how to best have the best career where you're happy and where you feel home. So I do a lot of talking about that and talking about the Academy and talking about the why of the Academy. So first, just understanding that we're here and understanding that you belong. Yeah.
Sounds like, again, creating spaces for people to connect and have the resources they need to thrive, and just this supreme care for music professionals. Is that because you were a music professional performer? Was it what you saw during the awards process? What cemented your, you know what, my passion for music is going to make me work in this way?
One, that, all of those things. So yeah, supporting the creators, my compassion and my empathy for creators, unwavering respect for creators. What really makes me angry is when people try to devalue creative work and creative contributions and dismiss it. If you want to get me mad, do that.
We don't want to get on your bad side. Right.
If you want to get me angry, do that. But that's what it is. It's literally in service to creative. And, I always say to people, go through a day and with no music. Or go through a day and acknowledge every time you've heard music.
This is right.
So not just when you get in your car, when you step out of your car and you go in Target, and then you go in the grocery store, and then you walk in an office building, and you get in the elevator, and you go into a doctor's office, and you hear it in the background. Somebody made that.
Yep, that's right.
It didn't just happen.
I feel like in the midst of COVID, when there was very little that we can do, people clinged to music, film, TV, any sort of creative space where they could not just be sitting there. And I think that was a real time for people to kind of recognize, okay, we need these spaces. Remember, was it D-Nice was, anyway, most people are familiar with the Recording Academy for the Grammys. That's your signature program. What else should we know about the Recording Academy? What else do you do that supports the music industry? You kind of talked about it, but
with so much, we represent the voices of not just the artists you see on screen. So we represent the voices of performers, songwriters, producers, engineers, all music professionals. And we work to ensure that our mission of the recording artist remains a thriving part of our shared cultural heritage. We do that by investing in music education through the Grammy Museum. Our advocacy team works year-round to fight for creators' rights. We support music people in times of need through Music Chairs, which is an amazing organization that works with artists in their times of need. And then we celebrate, like you said, our artistic excellence through the Grammy Awards. So the chapter works, there's 12 chapters, major markets throughout the United States do the work that I do. So there's 11 other executive directors in the Academy that work to create programming that meets the needs of their members. So we're working year round. There's seasons in the Academy, and to me, the show is just one season, but we do things year round. We do programming, career development, networking opportunities year round.
And I've even heard, I've seen publications about things on the Hill.
That's the advocacy team. I mean, literally, if it's going to affect creators and music people and recording arts people, I shouldn't just say music because we have comedy. You can get a Grammy for once.
That's true. That is true.
Then we're here making sure that creators are protected.
Yeah.
Creators are protected. Because, it's been proven if they're allowed to devalue, people are allowed to devalue the work, they will.
Okay. Describe one initiative you've led or significantly contributed to at the Recording Academy that sparked change for the music industry.
I will always say this on behalf of the DC chapter. The DC chapter, remember when the DC chapter worked very hard to create the proposal for the award that ultimately became the best song for social change, which since, it's now called the Hero Belafonte Award, Best Song for Social Change Award. But it was, again, managing creators. I worked really hard to keep them on track, keep them on schedule in terms of the proposal and like making sure somebody was connecting and doing the things that they were supposed to do or needed to do to get this done. But I'm super proud of the people who had the vision for the award and who authored it and did the research behind the award. And I'm very grateful that artists who really make music that is for social good has a place, has a home, and feels seen. From the group, the goal was always to incentivize that kind of music. So that makes me feel good. And then other than that, I don't think there's just one thing. I think I feel really proud of expanding and broadening our reach in this chapter and like with the work, it not just being like the DC Metro proper. We've really made an impact in Virginia Beach and Richmond from OIG, Eastern Shore, West Virginia. Like I really want all artists that are under my purview to know that we're here and to feel welcome and to understand and at least know that if this is something that they want to do, they can. And I feel really proud of the culture shift and the visibility shift and the sense of belonging for the full region. I'm really proud of that.
That's right. I can definitely feel it. Kudos to your hard work. Doesn't it go unnoticed? In your observation, what factors contribute to someone thriving in the music industry, whether they're performing, recording, producing? There's so many ways to work in the music industry.
I think just being open. I think the Recording Academy does a great job because it works to reflect all music people. I think just being open and willing to change and develop and be welcoming and be someone that has the greater good, or not want to say just for thriving. You don't always have to have the greater good, but I think the Academy does a great job because we always think of the greater good of the creatives. But I think the artist or the music professional is always changing, willing to change and develop and always learning about the business, knowing the business, doing the work. Listen, you have to do the work, you have to plan, and you have to execute. Venus Williams, I literally heard something. She had a quote, and it was something like, discipline is freedom. Like, it really hit me. Yeah. I feel like it really encapsulates, especially with artists, like, while you have to be free and let your creative spirit go and do all the things, feed yourself in the ways that come out in your art. You do also have to be extremely disciplined. The discipline is what allows the freedom, right? Mm-hmm. If you know if there's certain things that you have to do to be able to create a life, to earn a living, then you do those things and then you go, you do those things. So the people that have created a disciplined system that they do over and over and over again, and then go do there and, be free. Like, to me, those are the people I see that thrive and have had long careers. They may not be, celebrities, but they make really good money and have a great life because they do the work and they do the work that works for them and they have good income. Like, I'm thinking about, like, we always create art on the day, but we have to eat. So I spend a lot of time thinking about how we help our artists eat.
That part. Get health insurance. I saw that.
Get health insurance, earn a living, earn like a living wage, and can do the things they want, do the things that feed them and feed their families. Like, feed them creatively, but also feed their families because they do have families, and we think a lot about the whole human. It's not, they're artists, but they do have families. They do have people they take care of and they're responsible for, and they do have their mental wellness. When you create an art, it's not an easy space. It's not an easy thing to do when you're critiqued for something consistently that's so personal.
That's right. That's right.
We do have to think about the whole person.
That's the word. I was just thinking as you said that. I was like, it's like a holistic experience. Yeah. It's not just this part. It's like taking care of you as a whole. Because without health, you can't create. Without, all the things, all the resources, funding, like how are you paying your bills? It's all I went to an event, I'm going to say a DC chapter event, maybe a couple of years ago. It was at a recording studio, and I met so many different music professionals. And towards your point, they weren't necessarily the people you see on the stage, but had full careers in the industry. And I think it's so important to raise awareness about those sorts of opportunities and roles, especially for those parents who are like, you can't make any money as a creative. There's so many ways to dispel that myth. Tell us a little bit about becoming a Recording Academy member. Who should become one and why?
Love this question. I started as the membership manager of the DC chapter. So I love talking about membership. You should become a member of the Recruiting Academy if you are a working music professional, right? A full-time working music professional. Our members represent a diverse community of music makers and professionals. And so as you know, we focus on service, advocacy, and recognition of art and craft and music. There's 3 types of membership. So if you feel like you fall in any of these categories, you should be a member. If you're voting members are performers, songwriters, producers, engineers, instrumentalists, and other creatives currently working in the recording industry. And the voting members alone determine Grammy winners each year. Then there's professional, and the professional membership, like you, are for music business people whose full-time primary business activity directly supports music creators, such as creative representatives, industry writers, music educators, that type of thing, publicists. And then we have Grammy U, which is the Recording Academy's membership for emerging professionals. If you are exploring or working towards a career in music and you're between the ages of 18 and 30, Grammy U is the spot for you. If you haven't quite figured out your path or work towards it being full-time yet, Grammy U is the right space for you. And I just always think that people should be a member, because when you come to our program, you know, like I said at the beginning, I knew I found my tribe. So when you walk into that room, you know you are with your tribe. You know that you are with people who get it. You know you're with people who are in the trenches trying to figure it out just like you are, especially like with the emergence, I can't even say emergence of technology, but at the rate technology is moving and the transitions and the things that artists are having to do to earn money and protect themselves at the same time. Like, you got to have these conversations in real time. So coming out to programming, talking, sharing challenges, because you could just meet someone, you could be a hip hop artist, and then you meet someone that's in the children's music community, but you still got the same issue.
Yep.
And this is how we did it. And you're like, all I need to do is turn that this way. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm trivializing it, but like, we're doing the same thing, getting their music out there, promoting. It's just different genres, different communities that are promoting to, but it's just like, you come and you talk to people who are doing it. And I promise you, I have watched problems get solved, relationships been made, where I've seen songs come out from being at one of our small events. It happens all the time.
And, as a creative, it could sometimes, especially if you create on your own, it can get very isolating. So being in community with people that are familiar with the journey can offer tips. You can offer tips too. It's so supportive. And I think that is what keeps people connected, for sure.
Yeah, it really does. And it's been like so rewarding just programming in Virginia Beach, like going down there and like supporting that community, because we weren't always traveling down there. It's hard to take our team to the other market. And so it's like going down there and just like kind of watching them feel like they never get to be all in the same space. It's been fantastic just to watch it from conception. Like it's been really, really
sounds rewarding. Fun, rewarding. Okay, so what's happening next for the Academy?
Well, nominations announced on November 8th. The Grammy Awards will take place at CryptoCom Arena on February 2nd, 2025. For the chapter, we have one more installment of our immersive audio series, and that will be at the DC Commission, where we'll have the whole speaker set up and we'll be doing playback and all of that. And then we're finalizing a partnership with the Kennedy Center. Yes, for some great programming. Suwan and I are cooking up some things. And I can't talk about yet, but yeah, we have a series coming up with the Kennedy Center. working, ideating on programming for the African music community. So hopefully doing some cool things in that space. And then we'll have our Black party.
Yeah.
And then there'll be some things in between, in between time, and we'll get some other things done. But those are the big things that like I'm really, really excited about. We're going to do some studio drop-ins as well. So just again, engaging and working with the music community. And then we're working specifically with the advocacy team or legislation in Virginia and Maryland, the PACE Act in Maryland, trying to get that passed. So probably be back at the Maryland State House next year. We're close in Maryland. So those type of things. There's always something happening.
Right. And it sounds like it's always different. It's never the same thing, which keeps it exciting.
It's never the same.
Oh, wow. Listen, Sharon, thank you so much for sharing your journey and sharing a bit about your work, your passion for supporting the music professionals. I guess, is there anything else that you want to share that maybe I didn't ask?
No, I think you asked all the right things. I think, just the community. I think we talked about like what people misconceptions. I think to me, those are the things that I always like to communicate. And if you have questions, like we're always here. We can be reached at whatshallwesee@grammy.com, but like always available to answer any questions about membership and why the Academy.
I was going to ask, like, how do people find you? But you gave us your website. Do you have an Instagram page too? Does the Recording Academy?
At Recording Academy, BIG.
Okay.
I don't know the TikTok. I'm sure it's the same.
Yes. How do they know what you're working on? Or is it, if you see the DC chapter, that's me? Is that how to look at it?
No, it's really, it's for members. So if you go into your member portal, like we do some public facing programming, that whenever we're doing that, like I send it to our board and like just get it out. But it's typically our programming is for members. That's why I joined. And that's why these spaces are important, because I want you all to be able to come in these rooms and know that you're talking to people who are going through this.
Thank you. That was a great way to end this episode. Thank you so much for coming on. And oh my gosh, to see your evolution. Oh, wow. Oh, I know.
Interview you?
Please. I'm always willing, because definitely the work that we do, it's very, very much behind the scenes. And I look forward to staying in touch. We will, as a part of our show notes, create a link to the DC chapter of the Recording Academy so people can learn more for those music professionals. Maybe you might get some additional members, or at least people that are interested in becoming members. But for now...
Wait, I do want to say one more thing. I forgot. See what happened? You just said that because I was like, I hope this airs before February, because our membership deadline is March 1st. So we go on an annual membership application calendar. So to become a member in 2025, you have to have your full application, including recommendations, in no later than March 1st. So yes, if you're listening to this and you're interested in this membership, please check it out. I tell everyone to start. You should be submitting things by February 15th. But yeah, it is calendar sensitive. It's time sensitive. So
thank you for sharing that important date. For those out there listening, remember, February 15th would be a great time to get it in, but March 1st is the deadline. Yeah?
It is the deadline.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it here first. Stay tuned for the next episode of Cultural Catalyst, and thank you for listening today. Thank you for tuning in to Cultural Catalyst. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us for more inspiring stories from the world of arts and entertainment. You can find me on social media at MCE Arts and Alison T. McNeil on LinkedIn. Please leave a review and tune in to our next episode for more creatives behind the curtain. See you next time.